Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm very pleased to join you today in the 6G Summit Connect the Unconnected on behalf of the International Telecommunication Union. Greetings from Geneva. My name is Bilel Jamoussi, Chief of the Study Groups Department in the ITU Standardization Sector. Thank you, Professor Alouni of the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, Saudi Arabia, for your kind invitation to speak today. My talk will cover 3 points: connecting the unconnected, the state of 5G standards and deployment, and the digital transformation, especially in a COVID-19 era. ITU, from its inception in 1865, has played an important transformational role in communications from telegraphy to telephone, mobile networks, satellite, and now new and emerging technologies like the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. Acting in its core mission to connect the world, ITU fosters international cooperation among governments, private sector, academia, and other stakeholders to achieve the best practical solutions for integrating new technologies as they get developed. Our efforts to achieve this are spread across ITU's 3 sectors: radio communications, responsible for frequencies and satellite orbits; the development sector, working with countries to enable the digital transformation; and the standardization sector, working on bringing to the world international standards. ITU released a recent study on connecting humanity, where we found that nearly $428 billion would be required to connect the remaining population to broadband by 2030. It has been estimated that nearly half the world population, or 4.1 billion people, are now using the internet. However, on the flip side, 46%, or approximately 3.6 billion people, are still offline. From the time we entered the information age in the mid-20th century, the world has witnessed a quick succession from 1G, 2G, 3G to 4G. In terms of mobile networks, 97% of the world population lives within reach of a mobile cellular signal, and 93% within reach of a 3G or higher mobile network. Within the last 2 decades, we have witnessed the evolution from 3G to 4G and now to 5G. The communication architecture up until 4G were focused on providing voice and data to users. The vision of 5G, on the other hand, encapsulates a higher level architecture to fulfill the challenge posed by the 4th industrial revolution and proliferation of connected devices. In addition to this vital role in spectrum allocation for 5G, ITU performs certain standardization functions on the 5G front. The ITU IMT 2020 standard sets the stage for 5G research activities that were emerging around the world through an 8-step process. With the completion of the first 7 steps, IMT 2020 is expected to move towards finalization in November 2020. ITU started its 5G journey in 2015-2016, armed with the requisite innovation to meet the 5G fixed network requirements with 3 broad use cases in mind: enhanced mobile broadband, massive machine type communication, and ultra-reliable low latency. It's important to recognize that 5G is much more than a radio interface. It needs to be agile and to be able to perform different specialized functions. Allow me to provide you with a brief overview of the core standardization work relating to the 5G within the ITU standardization sector. We will cover the 5G transport, networking, security, EMF, and quality of service and quality of experience. On the transport side, if you look at the world map of broadband connectivity, we can see that a significant part of the world remains uncovered or underserved by fiber optic connectivity. For the mobile enhanced broadband use case to be delivered, a significant investment in fiber optics infrastructure is required. In addition to the laying fiber to support 5G, there has been a significant innovation and standardization in the transport network to support 5G. This ranges from the front haul, and the front haul using passive optical network, to radio over fiber in the front haul, CPRI over OTN for 5G front haul, optical transport beyond the 100 gigabit per second, enhancements to the metro transport network, wavelength division multiplexing technologies, frequency and time synchronization for 5G, and last but not least, management and control of transport networks supporting the IMT 2020 or 5G. Then, on the networking side, because 5G networks are software programmable and delivering different services with varying requirements, new tools are required to control, manage, and orchestrate 5G networks. Hence, machine learning for 5G has emerged as an important tool. One of the challenges of applying AI machine learning in networks is domain-specific knowledge. To overcome this challenge, ITU has launched the ITU AI machine learning, which has been a challenge running from February to April 2020. In this competition, teams from around the world compete on different problem statements submitted by partners. For the challenge, we have 11 partners, telecom operators, vendors, and academia, who are hosting the problem statements, as you can see on the world map. We would invite you to join this challenge that will be an ongoing event in the ITU. The other aspect of 5G is security. With the massive type connectivity and software programmability of 5G networks, we have new security threats that 5G needs to address. The threat perimeter is significantly expanded with IoT. The convergence of computer and telecom industries to bring the new features of 5G, of control, management, orchestration, and slicing, bring with them new security challenges and threat penetrations. In an ITU meeting with industry executives, the following three priorities were identified for 5G security: the need for global threat exchange, and a common understanding of security threats, and common terminology to enable the sharing of threat intelligence. 2, best practices for operational security, best practices for 5G security, and widespread commitment to infrastructure protection. And 3, security incentives, measurement schemes based on agreed metrics would bring attention to prevailing levels of security and create incentives for investment in security. Then we look at the 5G environmental requirements from two aspects. One is a very popular topic, EMF and 5G, that has been in the media with a lot of emotions, where ITU, ICNIRP, and WHO are bringing the scientific evidence and the scientific studies to make sure that this debate and discussion is enlightened with the latest guidelines from ICNIRP that were published this year. Based on those guidelines, WHO has also published its recommendations. And the ITU, in our study group 5, we have a number of recommendations that you can see here dealing with the measurement of the EMF and its impact on the human body. The other aspect of 5G environmental requirements is the power consumption. Energy efficiency is one of the topics that we study and where we have standards. And there are studies that show that 5G has a higher consumption of electricity, and solutions are being explored to ensure greater energy efficiency for 5G networks. Last but not least is the quality of service and experience of 5G networks. For instance, measuring the performance of virtual network functions, or looking at the quality of experience of no new services enabled by 5G, such as virtual reality. Now, allow me to move to the next topic, which is the digital transformation. Why does connectivity matter? Connectivity is critical to accelerating economic and social growth, while enabling the transition from a resource-based to a knowledge-based economy. COVID-19 has put the spotlight on the criticality of being connected because of the applications and services that could only be delivered through digital means. During the confinement and the significantly reduced mobility of people around the world, voice calls have almost tripled in certain countries, and data traffic has increased by 20%. The use of communications applications has also doubled during the pandemic. This transition has been causing congestion and has brought network resilience to the center stage. To garner the benefits of technology and ensure security during the pandemic, in addition to higher internet penetration, adequate infrastructure and network resilience are essential. How is ITU building network resilience and ensuring that it fulfills its mandate of connecting the world during the time of the pandemic? Permit me to provide you with a snapshot of some of our activities in this domain. Centered around the three key pillars relating to: 1, resilient connectivity, affordable access, and safe use of informed and educated societies. The ITU Broadband Commission for Sustainable Development has embraced the agenda for action, outlining the immediate measures that governments, industry, and the international community and civil society can take to support digital networks, strengthen capacity, and boost digital access and inclusivity. ITU has also launched the guidelines to help countries develop and implement their national emergency telecommunication plans, NEPT, and develop contingency plans for continued information sharing during disasters and other emergencies, including epidemics or pandemics. ITU is working with governments of Japan and Saudi Arabia on a project focused on providing country-specific support to reinforce digital infrastructure and ecosystems against COVID-19. Developing countries in Africa are expected to greatly benefit from this project, as it aims at business continuity by allowing e-commerce, remote learning, teleworking where possible, and telemedicine to prevent and minimize the spread of COVID-19 infections. With these resources at its disposal, ITU has steered their utilization and implementation towards bolstering connectivity during the pandemic. Now, beyond the connectivity, when we talk about connecting the unconnected, we also needed to look at beyond the network. We need to look at the applications and services on top of the basic connectivity. Let's look at the financial sector. Globally, 1.7 billion adults do not have a bank account. 2/3, however, of these unbanked have a mobile phone. And this is what brings us to the topic of the digital transformation in general. When we talk about digital transformation, we are talking about the intersection of at least two domains of expertise. The dialogue of these two domains of experts is critical to developing the digital X sector. In the case of the digital financial services, we have an intersection of the financial and telecom sectors. The dialogue of the central banks or the financial service regulator and the telecom regulators are critical in order to have the enabling environment for the digital transformation in the financial sector. And this is what the ITU has done in the context of a focus group that was established in 2014 with support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to have that dialogue, to have that common understanding in order for digital financial services for financial inclusion to be spread globally. Based on the outcome of that focus group and other studies conducted by the World Bank and the Gates Foundation, we have established together the Financial Inclusion Global Initiative with the World Bank, PCMI, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to work on accelerating financial inclusion globally using mobile devices and the internet. Fiji envisions the provision of affordable financial services to billions of underbanked adults for their needs from transaction, savings, and credit at a much lower cost than traditional processes. Since its creation in 2017, Fiji has evolved as a platform for knowledge sharing and showcasing successful digital financial inclusion initiatives. To delve further into the topic, the digital financial services during COVID-19 webinars are regularly conducted to examine the potential of fintech in addressing COVID-19 triggered social distancing and to share lessons learned. Finally, in the context of financial inclusion, Stanford University and ITU have launched the Digital Currency Global Initiative, to which we invite you to join. Another sector where connectivity is critical is that of transport, as road users are increasingly relying on their cars to be able to communicate road conditions and automatically initiate emergency calls. Connectivity limitations could lead to problems of traffic congestion, or worse, it could endanger the lives and cause road fatalities. The next revolutionary step for intelligent transportation systems is envisioned to be the harnessing of 5G connectivity for improved automotive safety, automated driving, and traffic efficiency. Some of these aspects are being explored in the ITU focus groups relating to autonomous driving and vehicular infotainment. Many of the applications I just described are also embedded in the smart city ecosystem. Building cities with ubiquitous connectivity for all these sectors at once is a formidable task. The United for Smart Sustainable Cities, or U4SSC, established by the ITU together with 16 other UN agencies, helps cities charting out the smart city transition cycle, developing guidelines for the integration of disruptive technologies like AI, blockchain, and virtual reality in the urban space, and streamlining the criteria for evaluating the impact of ICTs in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, to foster the ITU engagement with academia in the digital transformation, Kaleidoscope 2020, ITU's academic conference, is focused this year on industry-driven digital transformation. It is the 12th in a series of peer-reviewed academic conferences organized by the ITU to bring together a wide range of views from universities, industry, and research institutions. The aim of Kaleidoscope conferences is to identify emerging advancements in information and communication technologies and areas in need of international standards to aid healthy development of the information society. I invite you to join this Kaleidoscope 2020. Now let's look at the next beyond 5G. As the world ushers in the era of 5G expected to be deployed worldwide by 2023, researchers started to look beyond 5G. Some like to call it 6G. In ITU, we had a focus group on Network 2030 that studied the capabilities of networks for the year 2030 and beyond. When it is expected to support novel forward-looking scenarios such as holographic type communication, extremely fast response in critical situations, and high precision communication demands of emerging market verticals. The study aims to answer specific questions on what kind of network architecture and the enabling mechanisms are suited for such novel scenarios. But what is the 6G vision? And the most important question, how will it differ from 5G? Currently, no one has the full picture. Thus far, for some, 6G is expected to be an improvement of 5G technologies in all aspects. The envisioned 6G paradigm is expected to provide an unparalleled transformation with unlimited wireless connectivity and ubiquitous latency-sensitive AI services. One of the key advantages of 6G is ICT accessibility, including contextual awareness and ubiquitous connectivity. These characteristics envisaged for 6G will facilitate digital inclusion and accessibility and help cater to people with special needs and individuals living in rural areas. To explore aspects of the future, the AI for Good series created by the ITU with X Prize Foundation in partnership with 37 sister United Nations agencies, Switzerland, and ACM, is also organizing 2 webinar series, one on AI native air interface for 6G, and another on leveraging AI and machine learning to optimize 5G as a precursor to building the foundation of 6G. So to conclude my answer to the 6G question, I would like really to turn to the panelists of today's session to provide us with valuable insights on bridging the gap between global and rural connectivity, spectrum management for 5G and beyond, aerial access solutions, and last but not least, the overall impact of global connectivity. I would like to also invite you to invite the research community participating in the summit to submit papers to the ITU Journal on future and evolving technologies. It's an international journal providing complete coverage of all communication and networking paradigms, free of charge for all readers and authors. The ITU Journal welcomes submissions at any time on any topic within its scope. I wish to conclude my address by quoting the United Nations Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres, where we are all in this together, whether it is for connecting the world, tackling the pandemic, or foraying into the 6G realm. I thank you very much for your attention and wish you a very successful conference and summit. Thank you very much.